We know that he's a ferocious competitor. We know that he's box office, make no mistake about it. The problem is, again, is that his shooting ability, number one, and number two, he is as stubborn and as strong-willed as they come. KP knows him a hell of a lot better than me, being his former teammate, but he can testify to that. Russell Westbrook is a guy that is going to do things his way. And he did not go to the Houston Rockets, according to my sources, and ask for them to capitulate or to have some level of understanding. He made it very, very clear that he's going to play his game and he's going to do things his way, and he's not going to take a backseat to James Harden next season. So obviously he wants out of Houston. The Rockets, in turn, have to make that decision.
What is going on? Okay, so first of all, I want to thank the Houston Rockets for giving me something to talk about because this offseason has been rough. For starters, free agency is already probably not going to be very interesting, but you also have the fact that the draft is like a month and a half after the end of the season, which in a normal offseason, it would be like 1 week or 2 weeks max. And so this offseason has been really rough, and that's why you guys have only been getting videos every 4 days instead of every 3. But that out of the way, what is going on in Houston? If you're unaware, Russell Westbrook requested a trade, and a bunch of key players are currently unhappy with their roles on their team, including Austin Rivers, Eric Gordon, and PJ Tucker. So yeah, that's happening. Now, I knew that the season was gonna be a tough one for Houston because they have a new coach and a new GM, so it's gonna be a completely new system, but like, what happened? This all came out at once. And so today, we're going to be talking about what might be next for the Houston Rockets and what this could mean going forward for the franchise. But before we begin, if you're new here, I'm Double D. I'm a huge basketball fan and I make NBA videos here on YouTube. So if you're also an NBA fan, or just a basketball fan in general, feel free to hit the sub button and click the bell to be notified when I upload more videos just like this one. Also, according to YouTube analytics, around 86% of you guys that watch my videos are still not subscribed, so I would really appreciate that. Alright, let's get into the video. Alright, so starting right away, let's get one thing straight. James Harden has already said that he's locked in for the 2021 season, so there's nothing to really talk about with him. But I could still see him thinking about it if the Rockets don't do well this season, but of course we'll have to wait and see. But for now, let's just talk about the Russell Westbrook situation. So, as you guys know, I did not think for a second that this team would work. 2 ball-dominant guards in your front court, both of which need to have the ball in their hands to make things happen. Like, that was doomed from the start. Now, I have no idea where Russell Westbrook is going because I have no idea what team is going to take on that contract. I talked about this in a previous video, but by 2023, that team will be paying Russell Westbrook $47 million. So, I mean, I don't know who's gonna be willing to take that contract. Now, you could say that he got a lot worse in the bubble and in the playoffs, but that was mainly because he was coming off of an injury and having to play a different role than usual in that situation. So, I can imagine that putting the ball back in his hands when he's healthy will, 1, make him happier, and 2, could result in the team performing better depending on who you put around him. Now, I'm not going to speculate too much right now on potential destinations or anything like that because I hate making predictions like that, but I will make another video when that time comes, I promise. For now, let's talk about the Rockets as a whole going into next season. So, like I said before, they have a new coach and a new GM, so they probably won't be running microball anymore, led by James Harden's 60 dribbles per possession. So, it would be difficult to say anything about that because we don't even know like what they're going to be playing or how they're going to be playing. But it is worth noting that the style of play they were running did not make James Harden's teammates happy. With PJ Tucker extremely unhappy with his contract situation, Eric Gordon unhappy with how his role is diminished since 2017, and Austin Rivers unhappy with James Harden, with it becoming known that Rivers was barked at by Harden after the former MVP missed a free throw and blamed Rivers, who was standing on the bench, for distracting him. Now, I'm not gonna say that this is 100% fact, but come on, we could see it being true. But for now, let's just focus on what we could be looking at going forward because there is still a lot of unknowns. Now, James Harden's playstyle over the last few seasons is thought by some fans to be the most dysfunctional style of play we've probably ever seen, but it's not necessarily his fault. Because if you remember back in 2015, when he was playing under Kevin McHale, their offense was a lot more rational and relied a lot less on James Harden. But since Mike D'Antoni came along, that changed. He put Harden at the point guard position and put the ball in his hands a lot more, to the point where he actually led the league in assists, and his usage rating went way up. And this continued every season, even with other ball-dominant guards alongside him like Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook. But now, both people who helped design that system in Mike D'Antoni and Daryl Morey, they're both gone now. And so, I can imagine that Houston will be going back to an offense that more resembles 2015, but here's the problem. Due to Daryl Morey's great idea, the Rockets now have no reliable big men. And so that's going to be a huge problem to think about going forward. They traded away Clint Capella last season, who could have been amazing for them to have coming into this season if they did end up finding a trade package for Russell Westbrook, because in that situation you still have Harden and Capella, who play great together, and you also have them to build around, and due to that, maybe you aren't impacted too much by the departure of Russell Westbrook, depending on what you get back for him, which presumably would be a lot. But now you have to find a way to get a good reliable big man to pair with Harden and try to build around that. Now, I don't think that anyone else that I mentioned earlier, like Austin Rivers, PJ Tucker, I don't think those guys are going to request trades because, like I said before, the system is likely changing to include them more in the offense. So I don't see them being included in any packages. But for now, Houston needs a center. I tried to give them the benefit of the doubt when they were playing well in the seeding games, but like I said, when you're playing in the playoffs, you're playing the same team multiple times in a row over a span of a couple weeks, and so that gives them a lot of time to game plan for you. And that happened in both series that they played. In the series against the Thunder, they won the first 2 games and had people thinking they were going to either sweep or beat them in 5 games. But then OKC made the adjustments, they let Russell Westbrook shoot, and they put Lou Dort on James Harden to make his job as hard as physically possible, and that led to them coming within 1 possession of beating them in 7 games. Second round, same thing. After the Rockets won game 1, the Lakers made adjustments, and Houston didn't win another game for the rest of the series. So what am I getting at here? Well, the point is that their offense last season has little to no backup plan if it doesn't work. Because if you don't have size in your lineup, what else can you really do against a team that has a normal roster and that has you figured out? And so just having a solid big man would help in that aspect, as they would have multiple options and multiple things to do if X or Y don't work. So that's a must for them going into next season. I have no idea what Houston's future is going to look like, but I know that right now, if they want to keep James Harden beyond his current contract, which not only ends in 2023, but has a player option in 2022, like that's not a lot of time to put something together in this Western Conference that's going to be insane for the foreseeable future. Like, this is probably going to be your last effort to keep James Harden. Because if 2022 comes around and Houston still hasn't progressed to the point where they have anything promising, James Harden could very well be on his way out. So that's their current situation as it stands. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you think anyone will try to take on Westbrook's contract? And if so, what team? And also, do you guys think Houston will be running a more traditional offense in that effort to not only compete, but also to make their guys happy? Let me know what you think. But with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you're new, hit the bell to be notified when I upload, comment down below what you want to see next, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.